Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Cruz, former deputy
State Senator Cecil Thomas, asking you to vote for Charmaine McGuffey for Sheriff of Hamilton County. As a former police officer, I know Charmaine is the only qualified candidate to be sheriff. She stands with our community and will lead with accountability. Her opponent used excessive force in the killing of an unarmed black man and led the highly controversial Vortex unit. He is the last person we need to lead our sheriff's office. Trust the judgment of someone who knows. Vote Charmaine McGuffey for sheriff, a vote for justice.
This is Charmaine McGuffey asking for your vote. Paid for by People for McGuffey for Sheriff.
So many Democrats voting for Charlie Winburn. Democrat Malcolm Timmons.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he's the man that does what he says he's going to do, and he gets things done for our community.
Democrat Nettie Matthews.
Of course I'm voting for my brother Charlie Winburn because he cares about the black community.
Democrat Paul Booth.
I'm voting for my longtime friend Charlie Winburn. He will put people over party.
Democrat Zakiya Allen.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he has a positive track record in our community.
Democrat Charles Wiley.
I am voting for Charlie Winburn because he would be accountable to us.
Democrat Klein Carricker.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he helps to train hundreds of African Americans through his leadership masterclass.
Democrat Jafanya Wynn.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he cares about women with children, providing child care and a school for K through 8th graders.
Democrat T. Renee.
I want to see the first African-American county treasurer elected after 230 years.
Vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
Please take a second to like and share today's stream. I'm going to turn the camera on, or should I say take the cover off. Hey, good morning to you. Beautiful morning. Hey, broadcasting live from beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm Nathan Ivey. Welcome to the Nathan Ivey Show, where nothing is funnier than the truth. Matter of fact, we demand that men act like men. And of course, lames get their planes shot down like John McCain. The wise words of Jay Electronica. Hey, good morning to you. And listen, please take a second to like and share today's show. On today's show, among other things, I want to talk about the year of the white privileged male. The year of the white privileged male, from Donald Trump to Joe Biden to what I see happening locally here in Hamilton County. It is absolutely amazing. Nobody else wants to couch it that way, but that's exactly what I see. And we're going to mix some Mike DeWine in there as well, who's now ringing the alarm, but he's not willing to do a damn thing about it. Mike DeWine is like a dude that says there's a fire. He wants everyone to know, but he won't call the fire department. Should Ohio lock down? We'll talk about that. All the numbers say hell yeah. All the numbers say hell yeah. Get it done. Please take a second to like and share today's show. When you share the show, family, more people see it. It's real, real simple. It ain't no rocket science. Good morning to you. I'm at a secret location somewhere in Hamilton County. That's all you need to know. Only a few know. And if you know, you've been sworn to secrecy, aka the Black Man Batcave. It is what it is. If you're someone that has a problem with unfiltered black thoughts, if you have a problem with hearing an unfiltered black man, then you should tune away right now. Don't even watch. Don't even go any further, because I don't want to read your stupid ass comments. If you can't handle it, then just click it off. Do everybody a favor. Thank you in advance. Appreciate you. 513-873-7134. Of course, today's show is brought to you by Sin Digital Media. Hold on, let me change these lights a little bit. That's not how we like it. Oh, now we don't, y'all. Now we don't. That's how we like it. That's how we like it. That's right. Somewhere in the universe, black man in the universe, Broadcasting live from Pluto or some ish like that. Good morning to you. Tea in the morning. Got to have it. Got to make sure the pipes are ready. Good morning to you. Also, is Andy Black. Can we trust Andy Black? Andy Black. Oh, okay. Got you, BR. Most Def, man. Yeah, I'm very interested in that project. Believe me, I'm very interested in it. Brand new project that we're working on right now. People say they want to hear more black male voices. Well, so do I. Black men have a lot to say, and we have a lot to say. So keep watching. But anyway, yesterday we had Andy Black on the show. Now, Andy Black is a white male Republican who's running for Hamilton County Commissioner. He was nice enough to call into the show yesterday, and we were nice enough to give him the platform. Quite honestly, these last week or so, this is very valuable real estate. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be straight up with you. This is valuable real estate to get before this audience. I don't take it lightly. You know, when they say know your worth, I know my worth. We know our worth. Trust me, 100%. And Andy Black called in yesterday, and of course, there was a lot of things we had to get to, and we had a little miscommunication there with the time, so we started a little bit later than I would have liked to, so we could have had a whole maybe hour, 45 minutes with Andy, but I think we got a good sense of who he is and where he's coming from. There was a lot of things on my list that I told you I would bring up to Andy Black if we had a chance to speak with him. And shout out for the connect on that. I appreciate it. Glad to know black folks is working with Andy Black. You know, maybe they can have a positive impact on his, well, I would say his campaign, but damn, it's damn near over now. Only got a week left. It's damn near over. Let's say if he's elected Hamilton County Commissioner, will these same relationships continue? We'll have to wait and see. But I asked Andy Black about all the controversy surrounding the so-called racist mailer that had the photograph of his black female opponent, who was Alicia Reese, and was using a nursery rhyme, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Some people were really, really upset about it. Probably those people that were close to the campaign. A lot of Democrats are probably upset about it. And some people were like, you know what, this is racist, but it didn't seem like they had the same kind of intensity of emotion. And then you had some people, and I heard this primarily from white people or people associated with Andy Black. They was like, this is no big deal. Yeah, so what? And, you know, it's interesting. I don't watch a lot of local television outside of what's happening with the debates. And I freely admit that I missed that conversation between him and Dr. Herman Najoli, who I hope to get on the show. Again, I want to be fair. If I had two candidates on, I want to get all the candidates on so we can hear from them and their perspective on this particular race. But apparently Andy came on and he said apparently that, apparently to me, I learned yesterday that he had already admitted that it was wrong. The mailer that went out, it was wrong. He spent a lot of time on Twitter and social media, you know, making it seem like Alicia Reese was at it again and she was just making it up and there's no there. There was even a black female. She's probably one of these Republican operatives that wrote an op-ed piece in the Cincinnati Enquirer. This is a black female. She's a black female lawyer, apparently from Anderson Township. I've never met the sister, but she's prolific. She gets around in terms of her voice being spread around. And she wrote this piece about how, it was no big deal. I don't care about the mailer. So what if it was racist? We care more about your tax dollars, which I get it. You know, maybe some truth in that. But Andy came on yesterday and admitted, hey, listen, I dropped the ball on that one. But I wanted to drill down more to get a sense of just how involved was he in the process. Because, you know, he tried to have it two ways on the conversation. I mean, on one hand, he wanted to say, that came from the Hamilton County Republican Party. Wasn't us. But then he had to admit that, you know, he got a chance to look at it before it went out and approved it. So you can't really use that one, Andy. And so eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch an N-word by the toe. We already know the racist history of that nursery rhyme. And I think that if you're in a position of leadership, it's incumbent upon you to educate yourself about what the hell is going on. It's incumbent upon you, right? The community has to do their part, but as a leader that gets up in front of people, you grab microphones, you should know what you're talking about. You know, you should never allow your name to be associated with something that you don't know what the hell the history is about it. You know what I'm saying? But I know from Andy Black's perspective, the Hamilton County Republican Party probably sent him a sample like, hey, look, we're going to put this out. The Friends of Andy Black Republican Party. He's looking at it like, ooh, this is free. They're going to pay for it. Cool. It's criticizing, you know, my biggest opponent, right? No disrespect to Dr. Herman Najoli. Perhaps the brother has a bright future, but we know what this comes down to. This is probably going to be a two-person race. And maybe that's not a good thing, actually. That may not be, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. So he ain't even really stop and think about it, which he admitted. He also admitted that you grew up in a bubble, which was part of what I wanted to ask him about. Like, you growing up, Marymount, Indian Hills, your whole experience is that. If you get in a leadership position, how are you going to, do you have the understanding, of a certain percentage of the population here in Hamilton County and their history and their needs, what's important to them? So that all came up. See, my question with Andy Black is, once he admitted that it was a big mistake, my question is, okay, so you still in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? Bubble boy. You know what I'm saying? Your little white privileged bubble. And that's the reason why you couldn't look at this flyer and see it for what it is, because you're in a bubble. So as a black voter, as a black citizen, as somebody that lives in Hamilton County, how do I know that if you get in a position of leadership, let's say like, I don't know, Hamilton County Commissioner, that, your bubble experience won't come up again? And yeah, I mean, he apologized. That's great. He said that it's not fair to label his campaign just on this. And that depends on how you look at it. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think there's a lot of issues at stake in the Hamilton County Commissioner's race, and not just this. But this did happen. Now, we can't act like it didn't happen. See, that's that white privilege. Like, hey, I apologize. That's enough, right? It might not be enough, Mr. Andy Black. That might not be enough, actually. Enough might be making sure you don't become a Hamilton County Commissioner because you're bubble boy and you don't have no experience whatsoever, no sensitivity with the black community. And how do I think that's going to translate to leadership if you become the Hamilton County Commissioner? I mean, real talk. Can we trust you? Or will you have more bubble boy type, experiences? I'm in the bubble. I looked at it. I couldn't see it. I mean, how do you not see this, man? He said he had some black folks on his campaign staff. Didn't talk about the particulars, but of course we're at the end of the show. So, I really couldn't press him on and kind of drill down to the details because people want to know. Now you just had this all shucks moment. People want to know, is this going to translate and spill over into you being a Hamilton County Commissioner? So when issues come up in which we need somebody to be sensitive to the history and the current needs and predicament of the black community, whether that's black people, black businesses, black families, black babies, is your lack of experience, is your bubble boy experience going to prevent you from representing us? That's a fair question. That's a very fair question. I know if you're the Andy Black campaign, you don't want this to be the only thing that people talk about. But I mean, it is what it is. It happened. That did happen. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, for me, quite honestly, even after talking with Andy Black, I think there's a clear choice for Hamilton County Commissioner. I think it ain't even close. It ain't close. It's like, I don't see anybody else out here. Anybody? Oh, okay, way on the horizon. You got to squint your eyes. You think it's a mirage, but it's really a person. That's how close the competition is, in my opinion. That's just me personally. But what was your impression? Now, we didn't get a chance to talk about it because it was at the end of the show, and I had to make a move. But I'm here for it this morning. If you got a chance to see that interview, I'm all about it. I'm all about it this morning. 513-873-7134. Happy Wednesday to you, Brenda. Happy Wednesday to you. Good morning to you. I'm all about it. Can we trust Andy Black? That's something I want to get your thoughts about, at least in, let's say, whenever they come in. But from what you heard from the conversation yesterday. Now, we did take one caller from the minister. He didn't seem too pleased or impressed by Mr. Andy Black at all. That's just his opinion. What's your opinion if you heard that interview? If you missed it, go back and circle back and check it out. You can check out yesterday's video, or you can check out yesterday's audio feed and check it out for yourself. And you tell me what you think. It was near the last 30 minutes of the show. And you tell me what you think. That's my impression. Straight up. Listen, I hear him on the Bengals, but I'm also intelligent enough to know, like, no one person as a Hamilton County Commissioner is going to change the Bengals deal. No one person is going to do that. And as much as we're talking about how lopsided the Bengals deal is, and it is favoring them, so will any future deal. I mean, this idea that you're going to come in here and you're going to finesse control of the Bengal Stadium away from the Brown family, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I mean, Andy's like, he's just going to come in and just finesse it. Yeah, where they do that at? So the Brown family is going to let you come in here and finesse them out of something that they currently control? I don't believe it. I'm just be honest with you, family. I mean, concretely, period, point blank. The Bengal Stadium is the worst stadium deal in all of football. We got played. But I told you that 20 years ago there was some BS. I was in public radio then trying to shout as loud as I could, telling people to wake up. We don't need no damn Bengals. We bigger than the Bengals. The Bengals need us. They need pliant, gullible fans to purchase their product every NFL season. And they got it. And they got it. They need us. But it is what it is now. So it ain't going to be, Alicia Reese is not going to do it. Herman Najoli's not going to do it. Andy Black is not going to do it. No one Hamilton County commissioner is going to change that deal. And I don't care who you are. You're not going to finesse the control, the future control of Paul Brown Stadium away from the Bengals unless they think it's in their best interest. They got to sign off on it. So for all the commissioners, I mean, come on now, keep it real here. That's going to be an ongoing negotiation. And if they come to terms, the terms are still going to benefit the Bengals. Why else would they decide to do it? Come on now, use some common sense. It is what it is. Bob Bettinghouse and all the people back then, they convinced Hamilton County that you got to keep the Bengals or we're going to lose our identity. Who will we be if we don't have an NFL franchise team? We freaking Cincinnati. Subtitle, whatever that means. We're freaking Cincinnati. What you mean? Oh, we can't go without a Bengals fan. We got to have an NFL franchise. Okay. Poverty level, sickening. Money's not trickled down to the people, sickening. Black babies still struggling to get to their first birthday, sickening. Gentrification everywhere, sickening. But at least we got an NFL stadium. We got an NFL team. Yeah, I need to stop it. Please. I speak the truth this morning. But I want to talk about the year of the white privileged male, from Donald Trump in all of his privilege, who botched the coronavirus. I mean, it's just amazing to me the lies this man gets away with. Just absolutely amazing. Going back to that last debate, a lot of people want to give Kristen Welker a lot of props. She don't get no props because the man's lying in front of you and you know. Now, she stopped him a couple times. I give her props for that, but stop it. They're trying to set her up to be the next anchor for MSNBC. That's all that is. It's just like an anchor profile thing. Put that on your resume. Check. Oh, now you're a new anchor. Now, we know how the game is played in the media. We get it. We get it. To Joe Biden, this white male Democrat who's going to tell black folks that you ain't black if you vote for Trump. What? Wait a minute. I'm not black. Wait. Who gave you that? Well, we got to talk to Kamala. Did she tell you can say things like that? Now, this is previous to her coming on as the VP. Where you get that from, Joe? You ain't black if you vote for Donald Trump. And you thought that was going to be well received inside the black community? Negro, please. Go sit your ass down somewhere. No. Let us make those decisions. All those folks out there that want to talk for Jared Kushner, the privileged white male, all those folks that want, those non-black people that want to talk for black people, keep your mouth closed, put it in an email and email it to the black family, and we will decide whether we want to read it and or if there's anything in it that makes any damn sense. And you can take Chelsea, a handler, with you while you're with it. You know, take her too. 513-873-7134. These motherfuckers out of control. Here in Hamilton County, he's at an all-time high. The Bruce Hoffbauers of the world, the Alice Glandors of the world, the Joe Dieters of the world, the Andy Blacks of the world. I mean, they out of control with this privilege, man. It really is. Out of control. And again, I've had a bird's eye view after doing some of the moderating and then some of the producing for those town hall meetings for the Prince Hall Masons and NAACP. So I got a real intimate bird's eye view. Straight up, man. It's like entitlement. It's like this. It's like the entitlement class. You got mofos out there running for sheriff talking about you don't want to meet with protesters because you don't want to be in the way. That's what Bruce Hoffbauer said. Running his black surrogates to the Nathan Ivey Show. You know what I'm saying? To do your bidding. What the hell? Like, we don't know. Remember that? That was crazy going back 2 weeks ago. I mean, crazy stuff, y'all. Crazy stuff. 513-873-7134. But we shall survive, family. They're not going to beat us down. We shall survive. Joe Deters, why is Joe Deters running for re-election? It's purely because he wants to stay in power. Purely. If you look into debates, if you watch the debates and forums, any of the public things, it's purely on status quo. That's it. He ain't offering nothing new. Nothing new. Not only is he not offering anything new, but he's terrible in the moment. Like Joe Deters has shown since he's been Hamilton County prosecutor, that in the big moments, he ain't ready. He's not ready. When everybody's watching, when you got a case, it's about justice on a deep level, like the Sandra Bowles case, he's not ready. He's unqualified. Like literally, man. I was told by lawyers that he was down there doing this, dropping papers. I'm Hamilton County prosecutor. All disheveled. You know what I'm saying? You got just a terrible effort from the Hamilton County prosecutors in that Sam DuBose case. Just terrible. Anybody associated with that is even thinking about running for elected office, they need to be ran through city square. We need to run them down, family, and make them explain themselves to the nth degree. And now this guy's running around talking about his opponent would be bad for Hamilton County. He's going to destroy Hamilton County. You know what's so funny in that case with Fanon Rucker? And I've been paying more attention to more of the ads that are literally coming across digital spaces, is they're trying real hard to paint Fanon Rucker as being a part of the defund the police. They want him to be a part of that movement so badly. They want him to be a part, and he's not. I mean, we interviewed the brother a couple times here, seen all the interviews, moderated debate that Joe Deters didn't show up for with the NAACP. And the brother said 1,000% that he is not with the defund the police. But again, that's part of the politics. They're really trying to get at these suburban voters. They want to scare the hell out, the bejesus out of white females, white suburbanites. They want to scare the bejesus out of you, so you'll go with the law and order vote. We're going to protect you. Yeah, sure, we might have to bend the rights a little bit. We may have to step on a few necks, but we're doing it for you. We're not stepping on the necks of your children, so hey, it's all good. Yeah, chalk it up to law enforcement. Fanon Rucker, unless he's changed, is not for the defund the police movement. He said it 1,000 times. But they're going to keep running because they need him. They want voters to believe that he is. I mean, it's like some Willie Horton type shit. I've seen a lot of that, throughout this election cycle, quite honestly, a whole lot of it. Even with this Andy Black, like, listen, the more I think about it, you got to be responsible. So what's going to happen? You become a Hamilton County commissioner, some racist ish comes out of your office, and what are you going to say? Oops, my bad. Oopsie. Well, I just didn't know. You didn't know. Well, what else don't you know? What else don't you know? What else are you missing in action on? These are just my thoughts. I don't have to be right. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm far more interested in what you have to say. 513-873-7134. All right, cool. Most definitely, I'll give you a call. Where was it? 513-873-7134. Let me put the number right there. These are just some of the thoughts that are going through my mind right now. That's on a local level. And we haven't even talked about Mike DeWine. We ain't even talked about Mike DeWine and Ohio, and the COVID-related numbers are going through the roof. I mean, damn, those press conferences, man, are becoming like horror shows. Quote, COVID-19 is just absolutely everywhere in Ohio. 82 out of 88 Ohio counties having high incidence of spread. There's only 6 counties left in Ohio that do not show a high incidence of COVID-19 spread within the communities. Quote, sadly, the red tide of the virus continues to spread throughout Ohio. There is no escaping it. There's also no escaping this one fact. And that is, if we really cared about health over commerce, we should still be in quarantine, to be honest with you. If I had to be honest with you, and I'm going to be common sense with you, we should still be in Ohio. We should still be in quarantine. Like we tried it, but human beings are incorrigible. God's little selfish ass creatures. And they're worse than the coronavirus. The human beings are. Way worse. Way worse. And hospitalizations continue to spike statewide. The spike shows no sign of plateauing. COVID patients treated in the ICU and on ventilators are at an all-time high here in Ohio. Now Mike DeWine, spineless Mike DeWine, say it with me, y'all. Mike DeWine has no spine. You get a couple hundred people to show up with some dumb-ish signs at the Capitol, he'll fold in like a lawn chair, man. He will fold in like a lawn chair. Mike DeWine has no spine. Now he's urging Ohioans to set up their personal responsibility. Now, when is he going to realize that you can't trust us? If you could trust Ohioans, then we wouldn't be where we are right now. You can't trust people. God's little selfish ass creatures is what we are. Period. 35% of the population is the problem. That's the real poison. You are not you, because I know my listeners, we don't rock like that. We got common sense. But your friends, some of your smart, dumb cat friends, some of your smart, dumb family members, not you though. You know what I'm talking about. We all got a family member that's running around here talking about, I ain't doing no coronavirus. I don't believe it. Oh, they got you. I told you about my brother. Man, I told my brother is a COVID-19 denier, even though when he went to the hospital, they told him, this is early on, like going back to like March, April. He was super sick, went to the hospital. They told him like, they give him that black man diagnosis, like, go home. That was it. But essentially told him they didn't treat him because, of course, early then, they didn't really have a whole lot of information. But remember early on, black people, there was a lot of stories about black people that were trying to get COVID-19 tests and couldn't get them. The doctors kept turning them away like, nah, we're going to save our medicine for us. That's how it was coming across, right? Let's go to the phones. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Nathan? It's Tracy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I want to explain something that happened to my son yesterday. My son has been in virtual learning since the beginning of this school year. And we do have some children who are in school. I think they're doing 2 days on, 2 days off, or however it works. I don't know. So yesterday he's doing his work, and then all of a sudden he comes downstairs and he says, Mom, we're in lockdown. And I said, lockdown? What does that mean? You know, when you hear that word, you immediately think that something is wrong at the school. Hold on, my phone switched to speaker. I'm sorry. So I said, well, what does that mean? He said, I don't know. He said, our teacher came on camera and then he was gone. He just said, we're in lockdown. He said, so all of us are just sitting on camera waiting to see what's going on. So as it turns out, they were in lockdown because they found out that somebody tested positive for the coronavirus, and they're running around trying to disinfect the areas. And it just irritates me because, and let me show a little bit of compassion here. I do understand that there are parents who cannot leave their children alone. I've said that before. You know, some parents don't have flexible jobs, and I get it. But when I turn on the governor every day at 2:00 and he's saying, you know, please do this, wash your hands, please socially distance. I don't want to close this state down again. We have kids and teachers who are being exposed to this virus and then going on about their business 30 minutes later, because it was about 30 minutes later when the lockdown was canceled and classes just resumed. I'm like, okay, so are these kids who were exposed yesterday, these teachers who were exposed yesterday, are they going to be quarantined? Are they going to be back in class? Like this, it just doesn't make sense to me why these mayors and these governors are so afraid of Donald Trump that they will not manage their own states. When I was online yesterday looking at the governor, and he was talking about we can't close because there are specific consequences to clothing. And I literally typed, white boys with guns on your doorstep. The president getting on a plane and ending up on your doorstep, when he pretended that day that he had coronavirus and didn't show up. But it's like we're putting everything else over health and safety. And it's just really irritating to me. And another thing I wanted to say on Andy Black, I watched that debate last night, and it was just comedy to me every time he would try to interject. You see our other opponent was a no-show. She didn't show up. Hey, Andy, how about you go and ask Joe Dieters why he didn't show up at the NAACP meeting, or ask Bruce Hoffbauer when he showed up why he pretended like he couldn't hear the whole time. These white boys in their privilege, as you state, they get to do whatever the F they want to do, but they want to make us feel like we are mandated and we have to be there. And we don't. We have the same rights and privileges. So it was just funny to me how Andy kept trying to interject that as if it was going to mean something. It's not going to mean that you're the more experienced candidate, you or Najoli, who sat up there and, did a bunch of circle talk. This whole thing that they're running for this commissioner's position is over their heads. And it was clear last night because neither one of them really had a plan. They said what they wanted to do. They said the projects that they wanted to tackle as commissioner, but they had no solution as to how it was going to get paid for. So it was a bunch of foolishness to me. And one last thing. What's today? Wednesday? Tuesday, I damn near got ran off the road by a Trump supporter out in Springdale. So I'm flying down Northland Boulevard because I'm trying to get to the bank before it closes. And I'm looking in my rearview mirror. I'm on the phone with my husband, and this Trump supporter, he had to be doing about 50. All I see is the big Ford F-150 and flags flapping in the background. He's on my ass. And I can't get away from him. And I got to turn right. And if I turn right, he didn't have enough room to brake because that's how far he's flying up on me. And I'm screaming on the phone to my husband. And my husband's like, what's going on? I'm like, there's this big truck behind me and he's got flags and he won't slow down. And he's just on me. And I'm like peeking in my rear view because I've got to keep my eyes on the road too because I got to make this turn. My husband heard the engines revving. And he was like, I hear it. Where is he? And I swerved on two wheels trying to get up in this damn parking lot. And he just flies past me. And all my husband saw, because he was backed up at the dock. He was on the job at UPS. He's backed up on the dock. And he saw the flags. This guy had to be going at least 60 down Northland Boulevard, just doing his thing. And I'm just like, these fools, man. He must have thought he was on 275 again or something. But it was just the scariest thing. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I heard it's getting crazy down at the polls with intimidation and screaming and hollering. It's getting worse. So we just got to be vigilant and pay attention to what's going on around us. But that's my little rant this morning.
Appreciate the rant. Very interesting. Take it easy. All good stuff,
all right,
man. These Trump supporters, it is what it is. In terms of her child's school, like, again, I want to say this again. It's the arrogance of human beings to think that, oh, we got it. Oh, we got this figured out. Oh, yeah, we got it. And the doctors who are in charge of actually doing the real investigations on the front line investigations of coronavirus, they're saying that they don't know a lot. But yet here locally in the schools and the businesses at the state, everybody knows how to control it. It's the frailty, and ultimately it'll cause our demise. That kind of thinking is what's going to wipe humankind off the face of this planet. Oh, I got this. We got this. We understand this. Oh, yeah. We'll get a vaccine. Yeah, I mean, if you watch the governor is ringing the alarm. He's saying it's a major problem out here that's out of control. And see, what they don't want to tell you is that they don't have any control. Governor Mike DeWine has no control over this. Trump has no control over this. Joe Biden will have no control over this if he becomes president. All we can do is manage the situation. All we can do is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Do you feel like they were really preparing for the worst here in Hamilton County? Is Cincinnati Public Schools really preparing for the worst? Really? All areas of the state are seeing increases in the number of COVID patients being treated in hospitals, from the ICUs on ventilators to people being hospitalized, COVID-19 positive patients being hospitalized. Everything is going through the roof. What are we doing? I'm here to tell you, family, what we should have done is we should have remained in quarantine. Everybody with any common sense knows that we left quarantine way too fast. We were in quarantine way before, when the numbers were a lot better than they are now. There's more people infected. The infection rate, the spread rate is higher than it was now than when we were quarantined. How does this make any sense? And Mike DeWine gets up there, the human sock, windsock, whichever way the most prevailing wind is blowing, that's the way that the direction he blows in. If the wind's coming from this way, he blows this way. It's coming from over here, he blows that way, right? And we know that he ultimately stands by law enforcement, whether they're right or wrong. We know that. That's a prevailing wind that he's always going to, react to. We get it. But I think that Mike DeWine should be tougher. I think he should shut the state down. I think that that's just the reality of where we are right now. I think as human beings, we need to get out of our arrogance bag and realize that we don't have any control, that we don't understand everything, that we can't fix everything. There are some things that are beyond our grasp. It is what it is. There's no doubt about it. And I didn't get a chance to watch the debate. So it was Najoli. And, to me, there's a difference. So here's what I would say. I would say that as a citizen, as it relates to Alicia Reese deciding to not to be a part of these different debates and forums, as a citizen, I like for her and all the candidates to be in all the debates and forums. I want to see you all the time. I want to see you in different environments. I want to see if the questions are going to be answered the same. And I want to see, what you say, ultimately. But I see that different as a Joe Dieters. Joe Dieters is the incumbent. Like Joe Dieters has been the Hamilton County prosecutor for 20 years, nearly 20 years. To me, he has a greater responsibility than a candidate to make sure he shows up at these particular forums, like the NAACP forum where he did not show up. To me, I see that as different. I would say it's probably a strategy from the Alicia Reese campaign. Maybe they feel like it benefits them to not do these. I don't know. I haven't seen any polling. I'm sure that the campaigns are doing polling themselves to get a sense of where they are and what people think. Maybe the polling is telling them in the Reese campaign that they should do that. It is what it is. I still say that. So if you're Andy Black, should he not bring this up? No, sure, he should bring it up. He should absolutely bring it up. But I think that the focus should be on what you're going to do, because that's what I want to hear. Like if I'm in the audience and somebody doesn't show up, okay, great. We definitely want to highlight that and let people know. But after that, let's get back to the people that's here. What are you going to do? That's what really matters. I like Najoli again. He seems to have a really good spirit, and I've seen some of his self-made yard signs, and I like it. I like it because it's just so grassroots, right? And I think with all these big-time polished politicians, well-heeled politicians, they got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? They're running these big-time professional campaigns. I think that sometimes, I don't know, there's something novel about Najoli's campaign and his handmade, self-made campaign posters. I think he's just taking planks of wood. I saw it. I think it was on the west side of town. And I saw it. I was like, cool. Do your thing, Najoli. And listen, power to the people, man. I mean, you don't have to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth or have a lot of money to run for office. You know what I'm saying? That's why, generally speaking, sometimes I see people put their name into the hat. I'm like, why they do that? But most times, even in those cases, there's a part of me that feels like, that's just the American spirit. You ain't got to be some big time somebody or have a whole bunch of degrees. Or have a whole bunch of political experience. If you feel like you have something to contribute, get into the game. Get into the game of politics if you feel that way, man, whether you got a lot of money or not. And I think that if you got a clear message and you can demonstrate that and people feel like, okay, not only can I hear your message, but I believe that you can actually put this in place, then people will rock with you. I really believe that. People will rock with you. Let's talk to the governor of Ohio. Let's talk to the governor of Ohio real quick. Or should I say, let's listen to the governor of Ohio talk to Ohio. I want to pull up some of the audio from that press conference, man, just because if you're not watching it, then, and I'm not watching 100% of it, but then and you're not paying attention to it, you're missing absolutely valuable information as it relates to where the state of Ohio is with COVID-19. Absolutely valuable information. And what you're missing is that, and again, I mean, if you work in one of these school buildings, if you're the superintendent of CPS, if you're the assistant superintendent, if you're a board member of CPS, what do you think when you're looking at this? Like, what the fuck is you waiting on, quite honestly? I mean, is it politics? Are you waiting to the point where it's like nobody can question you for shutting down the schools? Is that what you're waiting on? Is that what Mike DeWine is waiting on? Is he waiting for the most politically expedient thing to happen for us to shut down, which is we go into the purple and the numbers spike like crazy? It's like straight out of a horror movie out here, right? And then it's like, well, nobody, we went so far to this direction, nobody can criticize us. That means people's lives. That means people's lives. If you're a teacher, how do you feel about this? If you work in a school building, if you work in a scenario where you're forced to go to work and interact with the public on any level, whether it's children or adolescents or adults, what do you think? I'll be pissed in that mother. I'm telling you. I might not show. I mean, I'm just that dude. I'm just telling you. You know what I'm saying? My thing is that you should, as much as possible, you should build. I get by on less. I'm not afraid to tell you that. I get by on less. Way, way, way less. I've learned to live that way. That gives me certain flexibilities. Keep your overhead down. You know, a lot of these little things that happen in life just kind of pass over you, right? I ain't living extravagant. I'm not an extravagant person. It's not really it's not really why I'm in it for why I do what I do. It's really about family more than anything else, right? So my grandfather taught me when I was younger. He said, listen, you get a new job, that first year, you save. That second year, you save. Try to have as much money in the bank as they pay for you in a year. Why you want to do that, grandson? I'm like, why, Pop? Because that way, when the dumb ish happens on the job, you ain't got to stay. There's a lot of folks that got to stay on the job because you ain't got no money in the bank. I'm not saying that I do. I'm just saying you haven't been snacking. I understand it's so difficult. I'm not saying I'm able to do it so successfully. I'm just saying here's what the goal of working is. The goal of working is not to live week to week. It's to stack your chips for retirement and stack your chips so if some dumb ish happen on the job, you ain't got to take it. You can give them 2 weeks and roll the help out of there. That's the whole point. That's how you make sure you don't become like a slave on your job. There's some people out there working every day. They slaves on the job. They can't leave. Boss on their back, talking dumb-ish. You got all kind of unfair things happening, but you got to stay. No. Hell no. That's what puts you in an early grave. That's why people become entrepreneurs. That's why. They don't want to deal with that dumb-ish. But I digress. 513-873-7134. Let me jump inside the Chop Shop family and say good morning. Miss D writes greetings. Fox writes rise and shine, young stars. Pat writes good morning. Brenda writes happy Wednesday. Kruth is in the house. She writes good morning, choppers. Tracy writes hi. We heard from her a little earlier. CG Dub writes good morning, choppers. Jerica writes hola, beautiful black people, and the others too. That's the Quan right there. Good to see everybody. Sharp writes, good morning, Nana Choppers. Brian writes, good morning. Fox writes, step out your estimate, step in your essence, and know that you're excellent every day, all day. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Fox writes, if you have not seen Beyonce's Black is King, you ain't black. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm still black. Frederick Douglas writes, good morning. The beauty of social media is that there's always a record. You can't run from nothing. That's why I'm like a fat dude in the Divine Nine. I'm a big stepper. You are hilarious, man. And I hashtag protect black children. Alt middle, you remain immersed. Good to see you. He said I'm a big stabber. Ah, that's hilarious. Mike writes, good morning, Choppers. King Kobla writes, no Larry Holmes syndrome zone. I'm with you on that, I think. I wish I was ugly and nobody paid attention to me. If you're not using social media to further a personal hustle, you're using social media all wrong. Can't disagree with that. Crystal writes, good morning. Cassandra writes, hey, Choppers. Clue Magic writes, Grand Rising's Nathan Choppers. Fox writes, what's going on in Philly? Well, what's going on in Philly is that the police shot a black man. And hold on, let me pull up some Philly news here for you. And I'll put the story up on the up on the board for you. Walter Wallace Jr. And now people are ransacking buildings. Yeah. Police say that Walter Wallace Jr. was wielding a knife and ignored orders to drop it by police. And then they opened fire on him Monday afternoon. His parents, his mother, is saying that the police knew that he had a history of mental illness because they had come to their house about 3 times before. The mother said that the police, quote unquote, stood there and laughed at us. Quote, when you come to a scene where somebody is in a mental health crisis and the only tool you have to deal with it is a gun, where are the proper tools for the job? That's a lawyer representing Dominique Wallace. Yes. Apparently, this brother had a history of mental illness. The police had gone there several times before. And now, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be a big push in Philadelphia for the police to get more training. Meanwhile, this brother is dead. I saw an image from the city of Philadelphia where police were looting, where people were looting a Foot Locker. Yeah, people went to the Foot Locker to steal sneakers. And apparently this is the second night of so-called unrest. Now, Philadelphia has... Okay, I've got the actually audio for you and a video for you. Now, Philadelphia has a very troubled history in terms of black relations. We need to talk about that. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. This is coming from Philadelphia News here. I want you to see this. This is quite interesting. Yeah. Since you brought it up, let's talk about it. And see, a lot of people will make a big deal out of the so-called looting that's happening whenever something happens. But, I don't condone it at all. And I think it takes away from the movement, but I understand it. And there's a viral video in which a black woman kind of breaks it down. Like, she really breaks it down, right? Let me play this for you real quick. Since you want to talk about it, let's talk about it.
The pandemic has made everything more difficult.
No, we don't want to play that. No. We ain't doing that one. Sorry about that. Yeah. We don't want to do that. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this back up for you. This is what appears to be purportedly is the video of the incident, if you haven't already seen it. We've dealt with it here in Cincinnati. It's like somebody's got a history of mental illness. The police react with violence. And then the response will be, okay, we got to give the police more training when it comes to mental health. And what I don't understand is, like, why don't police departments see what happened in other parts of the country and then just adapt and change? I don't get it. Why wait until somebody dies? But check this out. Well, I mean, I think if that is in fact the video of what happened, I think that those officers are going to walk. You see this man with a knife. He at least circles the car at least one time. Did they have to kill him? No. I don't think they had to kill him. They could have backed up. They could have backed up so they were nowhere near the man's vicinity and then let him walk it out and talk it out. You see, I don't know if there was his mother or his fiance that was right there with him. He didn't make any, at least in that short video clip, you don't see him making any menacing gestures to that woman. So the police could have just backed all the way up, back up 5-10 blocks. Just back the F up. But from what I saw, he circled that. I can see them walking on that, unfortunately. That's the most unfortunate thing about it. So that's the situation. That's what started it all. Since then, an officer has been struck with a vehicle and suffered a broken leg. That was 2 nights ago during the so-called unrest. So what happens is you got peaceful protesters, and then you have looters, because chaos is a ladder, as we learned in Game of Thrones. Like, some people use chaos to take advantage of things. So believe me, there are people that are like in Philadelphia. That's just the mentality. It happened in Cincinnati 20 years ago. And they're like, oh, people in the streets, I'm going down to Foot Locker and get me some of them retro J's. Now, why would people want to break into a Foot Locker? Because there's valuable things there. Because of our, celebrity obsessed culture, because we live in a culture where people obsess over so-called valuable things, sneakers are like the new gold. You get the right pair of sneakers, man, you got a bag. You hit the lottery. Don't get no rare ones, man. You might be into 5 figures with some sneakers. So that's why people break into Foot Locker, because they got valuable stuff in there. And it might be even easier to move. You know what I'm saying? You steal some sneakers, you put them on eBay, you pawn them off to one of your friends. Boom, you didn't hit a lick. I don't think it's right, but I think it speaks more to inequities. I bet you there wasn't a whole lot of wealthy people down there that was looting the Foot Locker. I bet you if you had the ability to stop everybody and kind of look at where their financial profile is, I bet you was nobody wealthy down there. I bet you was a whole lot of poor ass motherfuckers down there trying to rob Foot Locker. Now, why is it? Because it's valuable. It's real simple. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade.
Hey, Black Russia.
What's
up, man?
Hey, hanging in here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you see the video of the actual incident? Like, did you see the whole thing?
I just played maybe a 30-second clip of it.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, because I watched the video, and to me, that's a clean shoot, bro. Mental health or not, you can't roll up on the police with a knife. Like, you saw the part where it didn't like he was doing anything to the woman, but once the police showed up, the dude started wilding out.
Right.
Like, he started rolling up on the police with the police are backing up too. They're like, hey, stay back, stay back. They keep saying stay back. They got their guns out. And then finally they just let go on them. I guess my thing is,
I'm sorry, you go right ahead, man. I'm going to mess up your flow. Go right ahead.
Okay, no problem. I was just going to say, just in summary to that video and the city of Philadelphia, if you're familiar with Philadelphia, I almost moved to Philadelphia. And I had to do my research on it. They have one of the highest African-American murder rates in the country. We're talking about, like, it's up there with Detroit and Chicago. Like 500-600 murders a year in Philadelphia. Corruption runs rampant. To me, African Americans up there looting and being in the streets is total bullshit. You got 600 black people getting killed every year. You get a clean black shoot, and people want to tear up Philadelphia. I thought it'd be asinine. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't live in Philadelphia, so I can't speak intimately about the day-to-day abuse, offenses, or outrages that community might be feeling. Something tells me that for people to hit the streets like this, it's bigger than just this situation. It's probably because of, long-standing issues brimming over, and this was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. So that's how I take it. And I think if we lived in a more equitable society, then even when there is an outrage or a shooting like this, then you would see less of an intense public reaction. That's what I think.
Okay. The intense public reaction I just, you know, for me, it's like it's misplaced. Like, you know, you see it across the country, like in St. Paul, Minnesota. Yeah, I can go with that with George Floyd with the neon in that. I mean, some of these instances, Breonna Taylor, I can see that. Cats run up in the house and shoot the woman. But like this one in Philadelphia, it's like, and then of course the media amplifies it. You know, I see the picture of the dudes outside of Foot Locker putting shoes in the bag. I'm like, man, we just as a community, we gotta be more strategic. We can't just loot because a black person gets shot in the streets, especially when you see the video and see how the black person was acting. It says, like you said earlier, I think it sets everything back.
I don't know if I think it sets everything back, but it becomes a distraction.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So all the Philadelphia conservative talk show hosts are on the air right now saying what? Oh, the looters. The looters, the looters, the looters. The politicians, probably the Republicans, are going to do what right now? Oh, my Democrat opponent. Oh, this is what they want. Elect me. Right. So it becomes like this whole thing that people use.
You get another Kim Clyde video.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a whole thing that people use, and it gets away from the real issue. I'll tell you one thing that came to mind when I watched that video is, I mean, back the hell up. Why not back up
they
to
was
a safe
doing
distance?
That.
Back up to a safe distance. Maybe they should have kept backing up. They were circling. Back all the way up and get way out of the way. That way you're no threat to him stabbing you. And that way you don't have to use lethal force. That's the one thing that came to my mind. The dude is mentally ill. He weapon. He talk. I'm gonna back all the way up because I don't want to have to kill you. So I'm gonna back up. What's better, backing up 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks or killing a man?
See, that's what I'm saying. Now there's the extreme situation. There's the extremes. Either you'll kill the guy or you're gonna back up blocks. Blocks, really, Nathan Ivey?
Yeah,
come
blocks.
on, man, blocks.
Yeah,
You want to back up to the police? You want to back up to the police department? You want to just go back to the police department and just go back to the desk?
Say what now? No,
you want to just go back to the police department and go back to the desk? I mean,
no. See, now you taking it straight. I'm saying literally back
I'm saying
up
you did
about
it
4 or
first.
5 blocks. Back up a safe distance so you can essentially barricade the guy in. Now, why are you backing up? You're backing up so that you're not in the vicinity within arm's reach or even throwing reach to be hurt by the knife. And therefore, since you got the guns, you don't have to feel like you got to use lethal force. So yeah, back up 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks, whatever it is. Call in the negotiators. Call in the mediators. Call in the mental health negotiators and people that do that job, and try to talk this brother down so you don't have to kill him. What's wrong?
Ain't nobody doing all that, Nathan Ivey. I got a criminal justice degree. Ain't nobody doing all that, bro. Ain't nobody backing up 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks.
And you know why?
It's like the police show up with the guns, get down. You know what I'm saying?
You know what that's evidence of?
That's
that
not,
Black lives
that's not
don't
the
matter.
training. What you said is evidence of what? I'm sorry.
That's evidence that Black lives don't matter. See,
that's
Black lives matter.
Extreme.
It's not extreme. How's that extreme?
You
We're talking about taking a human
you
life.
want these guys, they're out in the streets, Nathan Ivey. If he was held up in a building with hostages, I would definitely 100% agree with you. Like what you're saying in a hostage situation is absolutely accurate. But this ain't that. This guy's coming at the police, and you see them backing up. You can't say they didn't back up. They were backing up, telling the dude to stop.
I don't doubt not. I'm just saying he can only walk up on them when they're close enough for him to walk up on them. So back up,
man.
Back up 3, 4 blocks. Don't get that close. Bring in somebody who's a qualified negotiator, a qualified talker in those kind of situations. Try to talk this brother down so you don't have to take his life.
That's for
his
hostage.
life is
that's
worth
for
that
hostage
to me.
situations. That's not even on a mass scale of death.
That's not
about
a
to happen.
hostage
We got
situation.
5,
That's a
10,
mental
20
health
hostages involved.
situation.
We got one dude involved who ain't compliant.
Well,
all right, ain't compliant. You know these cops are cool. You know these cops are getting charged with nothing, right? You know these cops gonna walk from this one. You know that, right? You know these cops are gonna walk.
I mean, from what I've seen, they probably got a good argument. But listen, you're acting like what I'm saying is preposterous, right? Is that what you're thinking?
And criminal justice in the real world, and you know, being in that field, what you're suggesting is preposterous. I will say that. We'll just have to agree to disagree on that.
You are so wrong about this. Let me hip you to the game. You're wrong about that. And you're wrong about that. And all we got to do is go back, a couple months, maybe a few months here in Cincinnati, where they had the exact same situation. It was a black man having a mental health crisis, and he had some kind of weapon. He had a knife on him. What did the Cincinnati Police Department do? They backed the hell up. They backed
Five
up.
blocks.
They backed
Five
up.
blocks.
They backed up. They barricaded the guy around him. They brought in negotiators. I can't say that far. They almost mistakenly shot this dude with a live round, but they backed up, tried to use, they used non-lethal measures. And what happened? They were able to arrest this dude without killing him. So it is possible.
The police in Philadelphia were acting
Cincinnati.
in a non-lethal manner too, Nathan Ivey. You can't expect them to back up 4-5 blocks for this one guy. You can't. That's not even practical in the field of criminal justice. What you're saying is not practical.
They just did it. I can't tell you that it
They
was
didn't
2 or
back
3
up no
blocks.
2, 3, 4, 5. You have to get. I want to see the police report because you're talking about backing up 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. They didn't back up no multiple blocks like that.
So
I remember
don't
the
know
situation.
if it was 2 blocks away or it was 1 block away. But the point I'm trying to
Man,
make
a
is they
block
should
may
back
be okay.
up.
A block is
They
reasonable.
should a block or 2, whatever the distance is, so that the officers don't feel as if their life is in danger and they have to use lethal measures. So whether that's 1 block or 15 blocks, that's what the police could have done in this case with this brother in Philadelphia. Just back up, let his family come in, bring in some qualified professionals, talk this brother down. To me, his life is worth that.
Man, the police tell you to back up. You back up. That's not how this works.
I'm not mentally ill.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works, man. In that
I'm
scenario right there, that's not how this works.
Yeah, but I'm not mentally ill. And sometimes the police
but
come
how
in
do they
contact
know
with
that you
people that they have
ill
to
or not?
save from
They don't
themselves.
know that.
Don't you agree with that? Don't you agree that sometimes the police come in contact with people that need to be saved from themselves?
Occasionally, yes, that's true.
Okay, then. And those occasions are usually with people who are dealing with mental health. They might have a weapon, might not have a weapon.
Look, we don't know that with this guy. You're gonna hear the mom say he got mental health issues. I mean, you gotta look at it from the police perspective. All right. In this scenario right there, they follow training. They're gonna walk from this. They're not gonna get in any trouble for this at all. And you're saying that they did the wrong thing. I'm like,
I never said they did the wrong thing. What I simply asked
you
was,
saying they said they should have
I didn't say they did the
blocks.
wrong thing. I never made that statement, Black Russia. What I said, now I stand by it, is why couldn't, it's a question, why couldn't they just back up, barricade the guy, surround him, bring in some people that are qualified in these kind of situations, and try to save this brother's life, to save him from himself? Well,
I don't
if
think
they
it
would
was
have backed up,
possible
what
in
would
that
have
scenario.
happened? We don't know.
I don't think it was possible in that scenario. I don't think so. From what I saw in the video, dude basically did suicide by cop. And some people go out like that.
I hate that term.
But that's what it is, bro. People do that.
That term is dangerous to our community because that gives police officers the rationale to kill us. And then say it's suicide
what that brother
by cop.
did, what that brother did
Bruce
was dangerous to
Hoffbauer
himself. You go up on the voice of the knife, man, that might happen. It'll continue to get discussed, but I think people generally agree with me that, hey, the police shooting was justified. But at any rate, before I get off of here.
I mean, I agree with you in the sense that if the courts come back and decide to not move forward with charges, from what I just saw in that video, I can understand it. Because the police backed up, they yelled out, they said this, they backed up, they did all the things that we think they're supposed to do. The guy was coming for him with a knife. I mean, come on, man. You know, here in Cincinnati, we had a police officer that shot a man in the head, and he's driving away from him. So I would not be surprised, and he got off. I would not be with back pay. So I would not be surprised that these officers are not indicted. I would not be surprised by that. But that still doesn't mean that there couldn't have been some other options at their disposal. That's all I'm saying. All right, Black Russian.
Hey, check out that Obama. Yeah, take it easy. Check out the Obama video yesterday. He was clowning Trump. He even dropped the Game of Thrones reference.
Did he?
He said winter is coming.
Yeah. All right,
take it easy.
That's Black Russia right there. Appreciate the call. 513-873-7134. So I get it. Listen, I'm not saying I'm being super whatever about it. I mean, I get it. I can see these officers not being indicted whatsoever just based upon what I just saw. Oh, absolutely. I can see that. But that's the video that, people are looking at right now. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Okay, one more call before we go to break. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan Ivey. It's Donnie B.
What's up, Donnie? Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. So I'm calling in response to Black Russia. And I love you, Black Russia, but don't do that. Don't be like, oh, I got a criminal justice degree, so that means that the Black voice is invalidated by your college education through the white man, I might add. So I don't think you need a college degree to understand what the problem is with this police shooting. And I'm going to take y'all all the way back to last year in 2019 when I was alone and CPD killed that Black man at the park that was brandishing a knife. And I said, yo, what happened to de-escalation tactics? It was almost the same thing. And the dude wasn't hurting anybody. He was walking around the park just brandishing a knife. The police rolled up and they just shot him. And I was like, yo, what about de-escalation tactics? What about the mental health squad? Why did they do this, that, and third? And nobody was with it. Now, fast forward, in Philadelphia, we got a similar situation. And my issue is, if lives really matter, not even just Black lives, lives, period. I don't understand why we got de-escalation policies and we got mental health task force that we don't ever use. So my thing is, if they would have tried to talk this dude down first, or if this dude would have been rushing them, with the knife, running at them, not walking, running at them, then maybe. But I'm like, I didn't see any attempt to de-escalate at all. And so that's my issue. And my other issue with Black Russia's statement is, are we going to ignore my brother, all the white folks that brandish knives at police and don't get shot? I just posted. I'm going to post all day because I'm tired of the fake narrative. So I'm going to post all the white scenarios that I've seen in the past 2 years where white men have bum rushed police with rocks, knives, and in some cases even guns and didn't get shot. Remember Jerry? So Jerry is the white guy that literally physically assaulted a white female police officer and a white male police officer with their own nightstick and then stole their patrol car. And they're like, Jerry, stop. Jerry, you're going to get hurt. Yo, Jerry. Nobody shot Jerry. Right. Let's talk about the other the white guy in May that threw rocks at the officer, punched him in the face, and then stole his patrol car and was running around the city doing 100 miles an hour before they stopped him. Nobody shot that dude. So I'm getting tired of the narrative whenever it's an African-American suspect. It's, oh, they had a knife, or they blinked, they pulled out their wallet. I thought I had to stop the threat. But the Jerrys of the world, the Michaels of the world, they never seem to have those same, issues. I'm like, let's talk about the white guy that shot at the church. And they literally just pulled him over on the side of the road and peacefully brought him in and got him some Burger King. But when it comes to a Black man with a knife, all of a sudden we got to explode and pop off with the gun without trying any de-escalation tactics at all. My issue is, why do we have them? If we're never going to use the de-escalation tactics, why are they policy? If we're never going to bring in the mental health team and we have people with mental health issues doing mental health stuff, why do we have a mental health task force? That's my issue for the day. I'm like, Black Russia, it sounds good, but take your degree and go back to the white man's college. And I'm going to stay Black in real life and look at the facts, period, point blank. No degree necessary.
Hey, Donnie, thank you for the flows.
No problem.
Appreciate you. You can check out Donnie Is It Just Me podcast on Fridays, 12:30 p.m. I'll be looking for that on social media as well. But listen, let me share this image with you right before we go to break. Let me share this with you because, Black Russia, and there might be other folks out there like, oh, well, the police had to do this. Where they do that at, Nate? They did it in Cincinnati. It was this year. It was this year in Cincinnati. Brother was down the West End. Let me bring the image up. This image is from local. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, it was just this year. The SWAT team got called down to the 2100 block of Freeman Avenue. Going back to June of this year. Remember this? We talked about this. And the police used a stun gun to subdue this man. And the media was calling him emotionally disturbed. He had a knife. And what did they do? Well, look at the image. They backed up. Dude got a knife. Why would you get close to him if he got a knife? I'm not trying to get close to you. Now, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to have to take you out of this life. And I'm talking from my personal standpoint, if I was a police officer. I don't want to kill you. That's last resort. So let me back up. Back up. As you see right here, CPD, SWAT team, they all backed up. You don't see nobody walking up on them. Man, growing up in our community, I've seen people walk around with all kind of weapons when I was younger, growing up. You know, people just lose it. People strip naked, walking through the block. You know, you've seen it depending on how you grew up. You've seen it before. You know what I'm talking about. You know, people sometimes they flip out. Sometimes it's something they have in their life. Sometimes it's the heat. Like literally, I've seen this, man, with my own eyes as a younger person growing up in Cincinnati. And you did too, depending on what neighborhood and how you grew up. You've seen that before. So I'm not here to say that the officers' lives were not in danger. Hey, Drop, call me right back, man, because I think, okay, we had 2 calls there. I think we had 2 calls there. Please hold on, and I'll try to get you back in, okay, because I got to take a break once I finish this flow. I'm late for a break. All right, so I don't want to, you can call in and hold on, or you can call back in right after the break. But I want to make this point here. This is Cincinnati Police Department doing their job. 20 years ago, they probably would have shot and killed this brother. Right? They killed this man. But I mean, sometimes the police are calling situations where you got to protect people from themselves, man. That's what we've learned. And I don't know where Philadelphia is. I don't know enough about their relationship. I don't know if they have the kind of relationship on paper that we have here in Cincinnati or the expectations. But again, I mean, I think every life is important. And who knows why this brother got set off.
Is our appeals court judge, and he's always on watch for us.
Oh, is he? That's great. But something tells me, just kind of knowing about human beings, is that these people are not in the streets of Philadelphia just because of this. It's probably been a long time coming. It's probably been a series of similar events or outrages or injustices that have happened in Philadelphia that made people hit the streets, because that's what happened here in Cincinnati. It wasn't just about Timothy Thomas. It was about a long, grisly, tragic history. And it popped off. So let's be smart about it. Let's not act like that the same peaceful protesters are the people that's out here looting Foot Locker. Again, I'm not there, so I'm not telling you I know definitively. But what I'm telling you is that more than likely, they're not the same people. Like, more than likely. Because some people is like, oh, they in the streets? I'm going down to Foot Locker. Right? Right? Because chaos is a ladder. It's an opportunity for some people. All right, let me take a quick break, family. I'll come back and get right back to your phone calls. The year of the white privileged male, from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. And can we trust Andy Black? You know, after my conversation yesterday, I mean, I felt like it was my duty to come back and give you my straight, honest thoughts about it. And I got some real question marks. Some real question marks as it relates to Andy Black. But let's take a break. We'll come right back, family. 513-873-7134. This is the Nathan Ivey Show, and we'll be right back.
Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Democrats voting for Charlie Winburn. Democrat Malcolm Timmons.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he is a man that does what he says he's going to do, and he gets things done for our community.
Democrat Nettie Matthews.
Of course I'm voting for my brother Charlie Winburn because he cares about the black community.
Democrat Paul Booth.
I'm voting for my longtime friend Charlie Winburn. He will put people over party.
Democrat Zakiya Allen.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he has a positive track record in our community.
Democrat Charles Wiley.
I am voting for Charlie Winburn because he would be accountable to us.
Democrat Klein Carricker.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he helps to train hundreds of African Americans through his leadership masterclass.
Democrat Jafanya Wynn.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he cares about women with children, providing child care and a school for K through 8th graders.
Democrat T. Renee.
I want to see the first African American county treasurer elected after 230 years.
Vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
State Senator Cecil Thomas asking you to vote for Charmaine McGuffey for Sheriff of Hamilton County. As a former police officer, I know Charmaine is the only qualified candidate to be sheriff. She stands with our community and will lead with accountability. Her opponent used excessive force in the killing of an unarmed black man and led the highly controversial Vortex unit. He is the last person we need to lead our sheriff's office. Trust the judgment of someone who knows. Vote Charmaine McGuffey for sheriff, a vote for justice.
This is Charmaine McGuffey asking for your vote, paid for by people for McGuffey for Sheriff.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of 3, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is the Nathan Ivey Show. Get ready to be engaged. Get ready to be informed. Get ready to be enraged by the man City Beat magazine called a talk radio rebel. And your host, now back to the show.
All right, good morning, family. Welcome back. Nathan Ivey with you, 513-873-7134. Welcome to my home studio. I've just got something over the bookshelf in the back there. Good morning. Shooting for the stars. I figure the background should resemble my goals. Good morning to you. Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Black universe. It's Nathan Ivey Show. We straight digital now. Straight digital. Speaking of which, check out Sin Digital Media. Our mission is to amplify Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond. Now, there were a couple of people that were calling in right before the break. And shout out to Donnie B, the Is It Just Me podcast coming up this Friday, 12:30 p.m. You can plug in and see what's on Donnie's mind. She's always breathing fire. Always interesting. Let me see here. Okay, we got a number up on the gang. Okay, CDM is in the house. Good morning to you. Please like and share this, family. Like when we go live, I mean, we going live with a purpose. And our purpose is to help. It's infotainment. You know, we want to inform you and educate you with an independent lens. Cincinnati needs more independent voices. We need an independent voice that speaks to our community. And as for now, we are in that space. More to come, though. Keep watching. Good morning to you. And if you're interested in using this platform to promote your business or as a vehicle to get the word out, if you're looking to get visibility, then send me a direct message. Send a direct message, Nathan Ivey. Perhaps we can work together. Love to. So a couple things that are happening right now that we need to talk about is what's happening in Philadelphia. A Black man was killed. He was not unarmed. He was armed. He had a weapon. I played the video for you. I don't really like to play those videos, man, for a couple reasons, right? Because one is personal. It just pains me. You know, it pains me to my core when I see these kind of things happening. It really, really does. So it's difficult on that level. But the other part about it is that, you know, I don't want to buy into this, you know, these snuff films, right? There's some folks out there that might get some kind of sick pleasure out of this. And I take no pleasure in it whatsoever. It's merely for, you know, information purposes, so we know what happened. And now people are going to be doing what they always do. They're going to be criticizing the looters. They're going to focus on that. The politicians who are running for election in Philadelphia are going to use the situation for their best advantage, both Democrats and Republicans. The Republicans are going to say, oh, my Democrat challenger, oh, they're for this. They encourage Black Lives Matter and Antifa. I mean, we've heard it over and over again. And people say, well, why are people looting in Foot Locker after somebody got killed? They want to take a stab at that? I want to get your thoughts on it. 513-873-7134. Let's go back to the phones and say good morning to Brother Drop. Are you still there, Drop? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey, and all the beautiful people in the Chop Shop, all the people on Facebook, all the people on YouTube. I remember a day it was just the people in the Chop Shop. But now the Nathan Ivey Show is worldwide, bona fide, and qualified. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Mr. Ivey, I like your cover art, but you know, you could have a similar title. It could be the year of the Black privileged man with Kanye West, Ice Cube, P. Diddy, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, all these privileged Black men, multimillionaires, a couple of them billionaires. This is their year, Mr. Ivey, because they are exposing the Black divide in a big way. Now, Mr. Ivey, shout out to Donnie B, our resident Esquire, and all the other lady choppers, and shout out to the All Middle and all their affiliates. But Mr. Ivey, on this case in Philadelphia, now again, I appreciate your speculation and your conjecture as far as the limited video and evidence that you've seen. But again, it's not how it starts, it's how it finishes. So we must wait until all the evidence, all the footage comes out, because this is almost similar if you take away the mental health thing, which again was only said by the dead man's mother. So we don't even know if that's actually true. But if you look at the Jacob Blake case in Kenosha, Wisconsin, a couple of months ago, it's almost the same thing, except Jacob Blake, by the grace of God, is still alive. Now, as far as police procedure, Mr. Ivey, every case is different because every jurisdiction has their own rules of engagement. They have their own levels of force, leading all the way up to the ultimate, which is deadly force. And it would be interesting to see or to hear what Brother Forte's opinion is, because he is a former policeman. And but again, Mr. Ivey, just based on what we saw, I got to agree with Black Russia. I mean, the police officers, they had no choice, Mr. Ivey. What are they going to do? Run 5 blocks like you suggest? And then this man, if he did have a mental issue, he turns around and starts stabbing people that were standing around watching. Because the video, you heard a lot of voices were in the background. So there were probably quite a few people that had gathered either before the police were called or after the police were called. So again, we don't know everything in this case. And it's unfortunate, again, like Donnie B says, when all these Black men are being killed in these similar situations. But I mean, it's like I said, Mr. Ivey, it's unfortunate that the man died, but we just got to wait and see. And the so-called protesting, it has been documented, Mr. Ivey, that leaders and spokespeople for Black Lives Matter, and I think it was in Chicago a few months back, the young lady actually said that looting was a form of reparations, that these people had no choice to steal to survive because the people in the local city government was not taking care of them. And I'm pretty sure she was talking about Democrats. So that's all I got, Mr. Ivey. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, baby, because I like your show. You're doing a great job, and just keep up the good work. We got 6 days to go. And here's one disagreement with Black Russia. Barack Obama out there looking like a fool. He's sounding like Malcolm Nance on MSNBC. All he doing is just trying to play the dozens with Trump. He ain't talking about no policy for Black people. He ain't talking about no tangibles for Black people. He ain't talking about no plan about how Black people gonna move forward with his former vice president in there, who actually said that there were so many things I couldn't do because I was just the vice president. Barack was the president, and some things I just couldn't do. So Barack, change up your speeches, brother. Because if we wanted to hear that, we would tune in to Don Lemon on CNN. Now that's all I got. How you like that passion, Mr. Ivey? Drop Squad 52. Drop it to anyone who wants to catch it. Where's the overseer? Do I hear the stable open? Overseer, got a helper now. His name is Brother Mazone. Peace out, choppers.
Oh, man. I love Drop's calls, man. We argue, we fight like brothers because we are brothers. That is my brother right there from another mother on the left coast. And politically, we at different odds at it, but he rock with me, I rock with him. And he's hilarious, man. Drop is hilarious. You know why he's hilarious? Because he loves to trigger people in the chop shop. He loves to trigger this audience. He lives to trigger. Drop, you should get some t-shirts that read, I live to trigger Black Democrats. That would be dope. Or I trigger Black Democrats. That would be dope right there, man. You can go ahead. You ain't got to give me no royalties. That's all you, bro. That's all you. Obama's mocking Trump on the campaign trail. And if you don't know, then you're going to see a lot more of Obama because apparently he's scheduled to be hard on the campaign trail during this last week. So you can get Obama every single day. And within the last 24 hours, he said that Trump was jealous of COVID's media coverage. Because everybody knows that Trump's a media whore. He's all about being in front of cameras and people talking about him and then watching TV and seeing himself. And so Barack is suggesting that Trump is jealous of COVID-19 because everybody's talking about COVID-19. Now you got the president out there running around like, all you want to do is talk about COVID-19. Well, excuse me, it's a pandemic that's growing. All you want to talk about is well, there's nothing else to talk about. Trump is so transparent. Well, he's kind of transparent. He lies a lot, but he's transparent when he shows his feelings and people connect with him because of that. It's quite honest. That's pretty interesting. It was a Black female in Chicago. She is allegedly a Black Lives Matter organizer. And she did say that looting was she justified looting as a reparation. And then she doubled down on it a week or two later when some people in Chicago media caught up with her. Quote, I will support the looters till the end of the day. If that's what they need to do in order to eat, that's what you've got to do to eat, she said of those who even tried to smash their way into a Ronald McDonald house. And the Ronald McDonald houses are people that care for, sick children and families. We got one or maybe several here in Cincinnati. There's one not too far from me in the Clifton area near the university, near Children's Hospital, as you might expect. Let me tell you how I feel about this looting so we can just talk about this. If you don't want people to loot, then you need to help to build a more equitable and just society. So just like anything, there's multiple reasons why people are involved. So let's take the Trump administration right now. We know that the Trump administration is nothing more than a big con game. You might ask yourself, why do people work for Trump? Why does he have so many people on his staff? Well, for multiple reasons. Some people are doing it because they're true believers of Donald Trump. They drank the Kool-Aid along with maybe, a half a cup of his water, his bath water. And now they're Trump minions for life. And there's even multiple reasons why they're Trump minions. Some people are in it because he glammed them. He looked deep into their eyes and hypnotized them. Like literally, they believe he's like some kind of messianic leader. Some people are in it because they're in it for the long con. They recognize game. Game recognize game. They know that Trump's a con man. They're trying to con their way to a better lifestyle. So why not be close to the con in chief? Some people are in it because they love the conservative or the Republican Party or conservative politics. So for them, it's bigger than Donald Trump. And some are in it because they think that them being there is a stopgap and somehow they're trying to save the country on the low tip and they're going to write a book about it later. It's multiple reasons. Like, why do people go along with the 9/11 conspiracy with the World Trade Center? We know that was a bunch of ish. Why do so many people go along with it? Well, some people got paid. Some people got threatened. Some people got coerced. And some people did it because they understood the larger geopolitical implications of it. And they wanted to usher in a new surveillance society in America. I mean, multiple reasons. So if you poll these people that are the so-called looters, when it's black folks, man, they love to generalize. We all the same. We all think the same. I would imagine you got multiple people doing it for multiple reasons. Some of those people are straight up plants, COINTELPRO. Some of them are white supremacists that understand how the media works. So they'll put on a Black Lives Matter t-shirt and go break something so they can blame Black Lives Matter and further their efforts. Some people are doing it for that reason. Some people are doing it because they just brought up in a sick hero, celebrity, gossip kind of merchandise kind of world where they run around here thinking that If you can steal a couple pairs of Air Jordans, you came up in the world. And because, you know, of our culture, where we value these kind of trinkets, they might be right. You might be able to steal you some J's, man, and make you $1,000. You steal the right J's, there's a sneaker market out there. You call up one of these sneaker merchants and you say, listen, I got some super rare Kanye West, or I got some LeBron. You can maybe double your money. And if you're stealing them, it's all profit. So some people are doing it for profit. Some people are doing it because they're completely disaffected to what's going on to them. They don't own anything. They feel like they live in these cities. They're not connected to the city. They feel like the city has left them behind. And so it's just straight up rage. I mean, so it's multiple reasons. Let's be adult about this. Let's bring some common sense to the game. Let's not act like everybody in the crowd is there for the same reason. Where they do that at? Hey, people down there for multiple reasons. Is it reparations? Well, I'll put it this way. I don't condone it. But I understand it. On some levels, she's right. On some levels. I don't agree with saying, oh, well, since you ain't getting no reparations, then go take it from Foot Locker. But what I'm saying is that when you have an unjust society where there's no equity, where everything is unbalanced, you're coming up in neighborhoods that have been completely forgotten by you, redlined by banks, redlined by politicians. When some ish pop off, you're going to have people that bring those emotions to the game. They're going to bring them to the streets. And that's just the reality of it. If you don't like it, then change the policies, build a more just and equitable society, and you'll probably see a lot less of it. I'll say it again. I bet you there weren't a whole lot of wealthy people, black or white, that was looting Foot Locker. I'm just spitballing here, but something tells me that if you poll the crowd of the people across the nation, you go to any of these cities where people are like going into the stores and going in Walmart, running, I will bet you, should I say, because I can't guarantee, but I'll wager you that the vast majority of those people are broke. Because wealthy people are not running down during a social unrest to go to Walmart to steal a TV. They ain't doing it. Why? Because they're wealthy. They don't need to. So what does that say? That says that on some levels that the equitable distribution of money, wealth in this country does play a part in this. Now you might get some young white rabble rousers, man, that feel the movement. You know, daddy made a mint in whatever his business is in advertising or who knows, right? So, you know, your parents are looking right, but you a young rebel in the streets. Yeah, you're going to get those folks out there. But by and large, man, you got a bunch of broke folks that's like enraged and outraged about the injustice and also fueled by the opportunity of coming up in the world and trying to make a little bit of money. I ain't saying it's right, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's the world that we live in. It is what it is. 513-873-7134. It was Forbes magazine that recently put out a list of the wealthiest people in the country, right? And it was a little bit different because they put out a list of the wealthiest people in the country, all the big time billionaires, but they also did an analysis of their charitable giving, like how much money are the billionaires like giving back to like charitable causes and stuff like that. And what they found is that the vast majority of these big time billionaires ain't giving back a damn dime. This whole trickle down economics theory is a farce. Oh, they're gonna give it back. They're not giving a damn thing back. Now you got some like Warren Buffett and others that are contributing back to the larger society, but the most of them, man, are buying the kind of goods and services that never touch your family. Like, you know, I don't get paid off of somebody building a new yacht. Do you? I ain't getting paid off caviar. I'm not getting paid off multi-million-dollar homes. I mean, are you? You know what I'm saying? You got marble and I don't get any marble money. Do you get marble money? I'm just saying, it seems like the kind of things that these uber rich people pay for doesn't really trickle down, at least to my community, but that's just me. I'm spitballing here. What do you think? 513-873-7134. Dale writes, good morning, Nathan and Choppers. Alicia writes, guys, morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Andrielle writes, good morning, Nathan, Facebook friends. Sean writes, morning, beautiful people of the sun. Morning, brother Nate. Perpetual blessings to you and your family. Same to you, Sean. Florida family writes, another beautiful day. And good morning, Mr. Ivy and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Let's break and take a quick call, and we'll get back to the text messages. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Nathan, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. That's an interesting voice.
Wonderful. That's good to hear. I'm disgusted. I'll get into that later. But I just want to say, I thought both you and Black Russia were right. Like, I mean, because at the end of the day, the fact that you acknowledge that you realize why they're going to get off. Yeah, they shouldn't have killed him. You know, that they had a little more time, but at the same time, it's like you realize you can't just brandish a knife at the police and think things are going to come out okay. You see what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Yeah. You see it. Yeah, he can't. I mean, that's just what it is. At the end of the day, you're Brenda. I mean, yeah, I know Donnie B says she's posting all the white dudes, but she's smart enough to realize there's a double standard because we're talking about two different races. And at this point, black people realize we're going to get the short end of the stick in any confrontation with police. It's just not wise to brandish a knife at them.
That's why most people don't, unless they're either on some criminal-ish or mentally ill. Yeah.
I mean, you know, and in a city like a metropolis like Philadelphia, you know, these places with 3-5 million people or more, Atlanta, New York, Miami, you know, these types of cities, those aren't just normal criminals. They were more likely a savant at something. You don't know that good that guy's an expert knife thrower or not. You know, because you know he can practice anywhere. I mean, just you're not dealing with a normal criminal in a city that size. So you kind of have to be, you know, it's very sad that the brother was shot. It really is, because they did have time to stop and not do it. You know, kind of trick him in the like, just tripping him over. I from the video I saw, I thought they shot rather quickly. Like I still had time to kind of, you know, walk him down, you know, just back up. But like he said, how far are the police supposed to back up? They're gonna stay their ground. But I think the Gilligan of the gosh darn year has got to be Tyler Boyd, the Bengals receiver. First of all, he just reported on the news that Carlos Dunlap was told to stay home from practice because the Bengals are trying to trade him. So, and you know, yeah, you know what's been going on the past couple of days with him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's like I said, he runs an anti-bullying campaign. Now all these white men are bullying him. I think that's kind of ironic. The Carlos Dunlap situation reminds me of Big Boy from the United Way. All of a sudden, new management comes in, and this is the incorrigible Negro that can't get along with nobody. That's bullcrap the way they doing this kid. Instead of seeing what a real issue is in the coaching, and then Tyler Boyd, he does the Stephen from Django thing. Well, that's some sucker stuff, Lowe's. He said sucker-ish, you know, Lowe's like that. Like, you know, basically, it ain't me, y'all. That ain't me, media. That's them other niggas. I ain't like them. I like Coach Zach. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. He's Gilligan of the year. And not only that, he got my Twitter suspended. You know, and that's more reason why he's Sucker of the Year. Or Gilligan of the Year.
Suspended?
Huh?
How did he get your Twitter suspended?
Because I told him he was a duck ass nigga.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Okay. And then he reported that? What again, the kids,
yeah,
man,
I said you up here kissing this white media's butt. As soon as they're done with you, they'll turn on you. Ask Ocho Cinco. Yeah, and he reported that. Either him or Ocho Cinco, because I tagged them both in the tweet.
That's you didn't curse or nothing like that. It was non-racial. That was just what you said verbatim.
Yeah, I called him a duck ass N-word.
Oh, okay. So they reported a racial slur. Damn, they do that on Twitter, man. Damn.
Yeah, I know it ain't gonna be the same in them streets, is it?
I'm just saying.
Because when I come back, my all my social media is going toward, you know, Rothstein Works.
Okay.
You know, no more personal opinions. It's all I'm just going, you know, it's all, like I said, about a hustle.
Okay.
90% of it was anyway, but now it's 100%. But man.
So you're not going back to those kind of comments at like local celebrities or anybody like that. Dan, that's going to be disappointing. That's half the fun.
I know, but it's like there's the economy is being reset, and social media is what you need to use to further your personal advances instead of arguing.
I'm with you on that. I understand.
You see what I'm saying? Instead of arguing and fussing and beefing and riffing and asking women to send you feet pics like dudes be doing on Twitter, things like that. Like, no.
That's what you went to? Okay. I didn't need to know that.
But yeah, man,
brother.
He's Gilligan of the year for that. For throwing his teammate under the bus instead of just saying no comment.
Right.
He just had to go in.
Right. I'm with you on that. I haven't heard it, but if it's what you described, I agree with you. Just keep your mouth closed, brother, and get out there and catch. He's a wide receiver, right? Go out there and catch the ball man, on Sunday or whenever they play.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, bro, it's like not only that is your teammate, that's your brother, man. Do you have any sense of history of Cincinnati sports media that you would throw another black athlete under the bus like that to them?
He probably doesn't. Where's Tyler Boyd from?
He went to school in Pittsburgh. I mean, but media is media.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Whether it's Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Miami, wherever. You know what I'm saying? What kind of N-word does that? That's all I got to say, man. I'll holler at you at the future moon, B.
All right, take it easy, brother. Yeah, remember the kids. Remember the children. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to any of that Tyler Boyd type of stuff, so I'm not really hip to it. You know what I'm saying? That's beyond me. It sounds like if that's their policy, it is what it is, man. I mean, you're going to find that more and more and more. I mean, I guess they're cracking down on social media across the board. I didn't know you could get suspended for doing something like that, but it is what it is. You jumping right back on their platform, though. And now they didn't taught you. They didn't broke you. They didn't broke you down, fam. I'm going to come back on. I ain't doing no more personal stuff. They didn't taught you. But it took you out to the woodshed, put them lashes on your back. Now you coming back. You going to be better this time, right? That's hilarious. That's funny. He said Tyler Boyd is Gilligan of the year. Could be. Could be. My thing is, whatever Carlos Dunlap is upset about, is there any merit to it? Because the game of the Bengals is about winning games. It's not about showing appropriate respect. All this ain't no damn plantation. If he's upset and he's a veteran, the question should be, if I'm a sports guy, is what is he upset about, and is there any merit to it? Now, if he's mad at the coaches because the coaches are doing a bad job, then sports media should be in a place where they can just call it out and call it what it is. Call it out and call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's what they should do instead of trying to turn it back on Carlos Dunlap, if that, in fact, is what happened. But I'm not hip to it, so I don't really know. So here's the image right here. So on one hand, you got an image of this brother that was killed in Philadelphia, deadly police shooting. And since then, his name is Walter Wallace Jr., and since then, there's been unrest every night in the city of Philadelphia that even some officers have been involved in terms of being injured. Looks like a real bad scene. And that's the image right before they open fire on him. And my thing, I'll say it again, is I wouldn't be surprised if both of these officers, if in fact it was two officers that opened fire, I would not be surprised if they walk, meaning no charges whatsoever. And then secondly, why can't the police just back up? Because that's what they did in Cincinnati. They just backed up. It's like, okay, we hear you, get it all out, okay. Then they use non-lethal measures to subdue the guy so he doesn't hurt anybody or end up making the police hurt him. Now, what's interesting about this story is that there was a sergeant in the Cincinnati Police Department. This fool mistakenly loads a shotgun round. He thought it was a non-lethal round. Like in this scenario that happened in Cincinnati, this almost was Philadelphia. Because Cincinnati leaders think they got it all figured out. I know they do. They think they got everybody in the right place. They know who to call. You can't control it when the people hit the streets. You have no control over it. It's the arrogance of the leadership in Cincinnati to think that you built the kind of relationships that would prevent this from happening in Cincinnati again. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're arrogant if you believe that. Or we know who to call, and we're going to throw them out there in front of the cameras first. I know what they're thinking, but you're wrong. You're wrong about that, Cincinnati leadership. This situation right here was almost tragic because, like I said, we had I don't know, you say Gilligan of the Year. This officer involved with this was almost Gilligan of the Year. How do you mistakenly load a shotgun round with his lethal and you're supposed to be loading non-lethal measures or non-lethal rounds? How do you make that mistake and you're a professional? Ah, man. It's just like Andy Black. You know, he basically signed off on this racist, some will say subtly racist flyer that went out, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch N-word by the toe, right? And then he says, well, this shouldn't define our campaign. Well, we should just let this go. It's just privilege to think that. It's a whole lot of white male privilege running amok right now in the streets of Cincinnati, Hamilton County, Ohio, and quite frankly, the entire country. Lynn writes, good morning. Fast pitches in the house. She writes, people acted like the city wouldn't survive without the shingles. I mean, bingo's right. They did. I remember it. I remember I was younger in the media game then at that point, but this brain was just as sharp, less experienced, but just as sharp. And we talked about it. You know, members, people, the audience has been with me long enough. You might remember that way, way, way back in the WAIF days. It was the dumbest thing ever. I was screaming as loud as I could. But, you know, only so many people heard the flows, and the deal was already baked in. And then we turned around and did the same thing with FC Cincinnati in modern day times. Turn around and did the same thing with FC Cincinnati. I read this article this morning in the Cincinnati Inquirer, right? Cincinnati.com. And I think it was Cincinnati.com. And somebody wrote this article about, you know, it was all like lovingly, like looking back because apparently they've been playing games at Nippert Stadium. And by then I'm talking about FC Cincinnati. And they've been playing games at Nippert. And then now they're going to go back to, I guess, the next step will be their stadium when it's completed in the West End. And I remember saying this over and over again. I even had politicians telling me this was impossible, but nothing is impossible. The best place for FC Cincinnati, perhaps, we'll find out. Maybe the future will tell us something different. But I think the best place for FC Cincinnati for the taxpayers was Nippert. You already had a stadium. It was already working at UC, University of Cincinnati. Everybody was eating. All those businesses was eating. The Uber drivers were eating. Everybody was getting what they wanted. But then Major League Soccer came in and said, no, these are our rules. You know, we want our teams to have a standalone individual soccer stadium, and city leadership act like they had to do it. Oh, we got to do this because they told us to. What the fuck? So you telling me any XYZ business interest can come in and shift our tax dollars because they say they need to do it? Just like that? Well, they can't do it that way. We can't do it. I was told this by politicians. It blew my mind. Well, they can't do it that way, Nate. I think they love to do it too. Listen, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. There is no can't. There are no restrictions. You either do what Cincinnati wants and needs, or there's no deal. It's real simple. Remember this, man? FC Cincinnati lied to everybody for a long time, running around talking about, we're going to go to Northern Kentucky. They did the same playbook that they did with the Bengals. Dangling the carrot, right? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, get the carrot. We're going to leave and go to Northern Kentucky. We're never going to leave and go to Northern Kentucky. Oh, we're going to go out to we're going to leave Cincinnati. We didn't fucking leave Cincinnati then. We'll holler at you. We'll see you later. But it's just something about Cincinnatians and sports teams. Like, it's like people in Cincinnati feel like some people in the city feel like they have no identity if you're not connected with a sports team. Even though that sports team gives you nothing whatsoever. Nothing. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. Dieters and Rob Manfred must be on the same sauce. I've heard that about Dieters. Crystal writes, Joe Dieters has selective energy. He didn't try at all to get justice for Sam DuBose, but he went super hard on Anthony Kirkland. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Like I said, I mean, listen, if you're a white female and you're a professional and you're just so busy in your day that you forget your baby in a hot car and your baby dies a grisly death strapped into the back of a hot car, just imagine for just a second. Joe Dieters will give you no charges whatsoever. If you post a video and say F the coronavirus, then Joe Dieters wants to charge you for a felony. If you're a Hamilton County Sheriff, a white male Hamilton County Sheriff deputy, and right now you and 4 or 5 other officers are dealing with an unruly inmate, and that inmate bites your boot, not bites your toe, but bites your hard shell-toed boot, and even though the inmate is all held down and really is subdued, handcuffs the whole 9 yards, and you kick them in the face as hard as you can, you get a misdemeanor. If you're a protester and you spit your gum at a member of law enforcement, that's a felony. That makes sense to you. But this guy's running for re-election, though. No diversity in the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office. No plans on diversity. He uses that dope money, that drug money, as if it's like, just his own personal cachet. Joe King Midas. He just doles it out to his friends to do these no-bid contracts. I need to do briefcase. Buying new briefcases and getting new systems done by your buddies, overpaying for it because he's your buddy. But people want that in office again for Hamilton County prosecutor. I don't really understand it. But what it comes down to is status quo and change. Status quo and change. Something that you're familiar with and maybe something you're less familiar with. I think there's a lot of people that are very familiar with Joe. And so they keep voting for him. Even black folks. You get these black folks like who's the bingo players out here stumping for Joe? Frosty Rucker, I've heard. I haven't seen Frosty. Pac-Man Jones, disappoint him. If you know Pac-Man Jones, it's your duty to pull him to the side and say, brother, and tell him what time it is. You have a duty to do that. Highest COVID rate since the start of the pandemic. You're right about that, Alicia. You're right. Highest COVID rate since the start of the pandemic, and it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse, family. Please like and share. In particular, share today's show. It's only getting worse. And Mike DeWine stands up there like he's really a leader. All areas of the state are seeing increases in the number of COVID patients being treated in hospitals. All areas. And Mike DeWine is urging Ohioans to step up their personal responsibility. And that's his first mistake. We can't trust us. We cannot trust us. There are too many people in the state of Ohio who's on some dumb ish. Mike DeWine says evidence shows that the spread is coming directly from people gathering, not observing social distancing, and not wearing masks. These are all things that individuals have control over. And people don't want to do it. Leadership does what needs to be freaking done. He needs to shut this ish down, period. Shut it down. Because we cannot be trusted collectively. We cannot be trusted. Like I was out, where was I? I was out walking through Clifton maybe 2 nights ago. And I walked past Short Vine. You hear people laughing. Ha, 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 ha. Look over. No masks. Is it that serious? Damn, we fragile. We are fragile as a people, man. If we can't deal with this, this is nothing. This is nothing. And we can't deal with this. The governor says that the spread is because of human beings being incorrigible and hard-headed. That's what he said, basically. People that want to go out to parties. They want to gather. They want to drink together. They want to kiki and ha-ha. They want to laugh. They don't want to wear a mask. He also stressed that the state does not immediately plan to enter another shutdown. And that's because you can tell all the governors got together, especially the white male Republican governors, But I think all the governors got together and decided, you know what, collectively, we are not going to shut down. And if we all don't shut down, then there's strength in numbers, right? Because they can't just pick one or two of us out. They said yesterday that they don't plan to shut down because the spread of COVID-19 is not coming from businesses, but people not observing guidance for gatherings. I don't understand that whatsoever. What does that mean it's not coming from businesses? So, you tell me people are not reporting that they're getting it from work. What difference does that make when the people who are spreading it work in the businesses? And I mean, what sense does that make? It makes no sense. Quote, please consider hosting or attending gatherings of any size. It says, please reconsider hosting or attending gatherings of any size. This includes with friends and extended family. Think about canceling events. Certainly don't go to Halloween parties. Wear a mask inside and outside when you can't socially distance. So for all the people out here walking around, you should be walking around with your mask on. I don't want to hear it. It's not up for debate, fam. It's not up for the debate. Wear your damn mask. DeWine said he is looking to county leaders to form a plan of attack for reducing COVID-19 spread and infection rates. And now he wants to pass the buck down to county leaders. You're the governor. Lead, make a decision. He's afraid that Trump's going to talk about him. He's afraid about the business backlash. It is what it is. What I'll say to business owners is that you're going to be affected by COVID-19. There's no way around it. And if there's nobody left alive to go to your businesses, you're going to go out of business anyway. If you got the kind of business that you need a lot of human, actual, in-person travel, you're going to be affected. There's no way. You're going to lose money. There's no way around it. It's all about what's the duration of you losing money and can you hold on? And do you close now or do you close later? That's the reality of it. I mean, what you want? I'm like, you want me to sugarcoat it? That's what they're doing right now. They're sugarcoating everything. Well, it's bad, but we're not going to close. Why not? Why not? Good morning, Black Russia. Alt middle, hashtag invasion with Black Russia. All right. I like the way that sounds. Crystal writes, CPS will shut down again. Wait until after the election. They told me I had bronchitis in late February, early March. Right. Thoughts on Dr. Najoli and Cherokee Ridge Black? I don't know what Cherokee Ridge Black is. DeWine will shut down Ohio after the election if Biden wins. If he does that, it goes to show you how spineless DeWine really is because he's been doing this purely for political reasons. And this is about public health. Now, listen, let me get back on target, folks. It's 9:30, really 9:39 a.m., so I'm about 9 minutes behind my usual break time. And since we started the first break a little bit late, I want to make sure we try to get back on time. All right, really appreciate you. Sit tight, everybody. Please like and share today's show. We'll be right back, okay? 513-873-7134. This is the last honest place in Cincinnati media. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.
So many Democrats voting for Charlie Winburn. Democrat Malcolm Timmons.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he is a man that does what he says he's going to do, and he gets things done for our community.
Democrat Nettie Matthews.
Of course I'm voting for my brother Charlie Winburn because he cares about the Black community.
Democrat Paul Booth.
I'm voting for my longtime friend Charlie Winburn. He will put people over party.
Democrat Zakiya Allen.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he has a positive track record in our community.
Democrat Charles Wiley.
I am voting for Charlie Winburn because he would be accountable to us.
Democrat Klein Carricker.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he helps to train hundreds of African Americans through his leadership masterclass.
Democrat Jafanya Wynn.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he cares about women with children, providing child care and a school for K through 8th graders.
Democrat T. Renee.
I want to see the first African American county treasurer elected after 230 years.
Vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is State Senator Cecil Thomas asking you to vote for Charmaine McGuffey for Sheriff of Hamilton County. As a former police officer, I know Charmaine is the only qualified candidate to be sheriff. She stands with our community and will lead with accountability. Her opponent used excessive force in the killing of an unarmed black man and led the highly controversial Vortex unit. He is the last person we need to lead our sheriff's office. Trust the judgment of someone who knows. Vote Charmaine McGuffey for sheriff, a vote for justice.
This is Charmaine McGuffey asking for your vote, paid for by people for McGuffey for sheriff.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent. You're listening to The Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
All right, quick break. That was painless. Good morning to you. Warning, unfiltered black man talking. I know you might be unaccustomed to it here in the city of Cincinnati, but I got to give it to you raw this morning. We're going to take the prophylactic off the microphone and give it to you straight raw every single morning. At least straight raw from my opinion. Like it or love it, it is what it is. Notice I said like it or love it. Good morning here. Welcome back. Let me put the number back on the screen here, 513-873-7134. If you missed any calls, I appreciate you. I just reiterated just to make sure that you remind you that, kids are at home. Not everybody is in school. Kids are virtual learning. Some folks have sensitive ears. Just be mindful of our other families that might be listening and people working at work and things like that. Bengals try to trade Carlos Dunlap after his blow up. I did not watch all of the game, but I did see that part. Not sure what the deal was. Some people keep saying that local sports talk is like against this brother, trying to run him out of town. Maybe so. Primarily this morning, we've been talking about the year of the white privileged male, from Donald Trump to Joe Biden to these local white male Republican candidates and their extreme arrogance. I've seen it firsthand. And the extreme arrogance, it is what it is. You got Donald Trump out there who did an absolute terrible job managing COVID-19. We could have did a much better job, but he gives himself an A with his platinum plan, trying to exploit black icons to get us to vote for you. To be honest with you, Donald Trump had an opportunity to show black America what he was going to deliver. It's called the last few years. His first term. And I don't know why anybody would expect anything out of a second term from Donald Trump. Like, why should we in black America really believe that if Donald Trump is reelected, that he's going to deliver for us? It'll be his last and final term. I mean, that's more about legacy building, right? He's going to build upon the things that he started in the first term. That's what you do in the second term. You know what I'm saying? If you're really trying to get something out of the presidency, it's got to be that first term, because you dangle the opportunity of a second term, right? If you're a first-time president, what do you want to be? You want to be a second term. 4 years in the White House can only be bested by 8 years in the White House, right? So if you're an interest group, to me, it just seems like you have a lot more leverage with a first-term candidate or first-term president than you would someone in their second term. So why would they do this? I mean, they're rolling out. Now, of course, that last year, it seems like whoever's president tries to set the table for somebody in their party to take over after them, right? So they don't want to do anything that will turn you off to their particular party. But where's the leverage from the people? If Donald Trump was going to deliver all these things in his platinum plan, why hasn't he been talking about it? Why didn't he do it? It's extreme arrogance to think that black people can't see between that. We see that. Also, I got a chance to speak with Andy Black yesterday. He called into the show. And my question is, can we trust Andy Black? Can we trust his judgment? And by we, I'm talking about non-white folks. Can we trust his judgment? I mean, look at his judgment in rubber stamping that racist flyer. Now, first, he was all on Twitter talking about, he was trying to clown it. Like, oh, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. He called in yesterday and admitted, like, look, it was a mistake. It got past me. I didn't see it that way. And that's because he's grown up in, and it appears he still lives in a bubble. I'm using his terminology. He said he was in a bubble. I'm just picking up on it. and clearly he is in a bubble. Like, this cat passed your whole staff? Your whole staff? So, like, we can't afford these kind of blunders, right? Do you think that will have an impact in how you vote? I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people already voted. What do you think? As I said to Andy, I'm like, my concern is that, your lack of sensitivity on this will translate into a lack of sensitivity on other issues that are important to people that look like me if you become a Hamilton County commissioner. And we're beyond the oops, my bad politician, aren't you? I'm just so beyond the oops, my bad politician. Like, oops, I'm well-intentioned, but oops, my bad. Oh, my heart's in the right place, but oops, my bad. I mean, I'm way beyond that. I'm way beyond that. The oops, my bad politician, because you grew up in a bubble. But that's just my thoughts. What do you think? 513-873-7134. Oops, my bad, I didn't realize. Oops, my bad, I didn't realize. Okay. Now, I don't think you have to be a career politician to get, you don't have to be a career politician to get my vote. I like people that come from, the mud, so to speak. I like people that don't have a long history in politics, that just got a strong voice and a vision for their community. I love that. I love that, man. I love that. But I also think there's something to be said for people that have a proven track record that's negotiated and navigated these political waters and have been able to bring home the bacon and get things done. I think depending on the position, that's exactly the kind of person that you need. Extrapolate what you will. 513-873-7134. This whole thing about Hamilton County being declared a public health crisis, I thought that was one of the weaker responses from Andy Black when he was at the NAACP forum, and I got a chance to bring it back up to him just yesterday, and it was near the end of the show, so I was sandwiched in between his question and him having to leave very, very shortly, so I didn't really get the full flesh it all the way out, but I wanted to give the man an opportunity to really go over again and think about some of the things that stuck out to me during that debate. Any white male running for office, and their response is, well, what are you trying to say, that everybody in Hamilton County is racist? They're immature. That's a very immature immature observation or thing to say to that question. What do you think about the Hamilton County being declared how do you feel about racism being declared a health crisis here in Hamilton County? If your response is, well, what are you trying to say? Everybody's racist in Hamilton County? You can't get my vote. Because that shows me you lack sensitivity. You lack an understanding of what they're trying to say and what they mean, what's going on. Like, if we declare the opioid crisis a public health crisis in Hamilton County, does that mean that everybody is doing drugs? No, it don't. So miss me with this, all of a sudden we can't think stuff. Like, I don't understand what you mean. You understand what the hell they mean. Well, what you trying to say? What you trying to say? You trying to say everybody's racist? Is that what you think we're trying to say? That tells me everything. You can't get my vote. Because either you think I'm stupid or you're stupid. Either one. Either you think I'm dumb or you're dumb. Either one is unacceptable when it comes to getting my vote. Either one. Either one. I'm just done with them. I'm done with these white males in Hamilton County talking about, well, when I get to the office, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Huh? Well, I can do that, and I'm not even running. You can do that. I can put you in a position, and then once you get in the position to talk to everybody, and they give you a few reports, then you know what's going on. I can do that. You can do that. We got to hold these elected officials, these candidates, to a higher standard, man. We really do. We got to hold them to a higher standard, because sometimes I feel like the standard is so low that we're not getting what we need. Lynn Rice hospitals are now the point of choosing who they will save. Is that right? Shayna Rice, in order for us to flatten the curve is to shut down. I understand people can afford to be off, but what other option do we have? Question mark. Closing bars is not enough. She's so right. Natasha writes, we can afford another shutdown. It will not go well. Natasha, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you 100%, but you know what we all gonna have to do? This is all of us. We're gonna have to figure out how to thrive during a pandemic. And that might mean being shut down. Now, some businesses can endure and some businesses will not. It's called Darwinism. It is what it is. I feel for you. Like, I know people whose businesses are being effective in a very negative way right now. I feel for them. I feel for you, but what you want us to do, all die? You want everybody to get COVID? You want more people to die just so we can keep your business open? The reality is that not everybody's going to make it. That's the reality. Not every business is going to survive. We should try as much as possible. We should have relief efforts on multiple levels. We should try. But it's incumbent upon the business owner to try to get flexible in these days. I know many people are doing that already, but it's incumbent upon you to try to figure that out as well, business owner. Get creative. It may work, it may not work. Not every business is going to survive, but we should want every person to survive. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather people survive rather than businesses. I get it. Listen, believe me, I understand it's a very difficult thing. I'm not saying it's so easy, but by looking at the numbers and all the data, it just seems like Ohio is moving in the wrong place. Samantha writes, good morning, all. Victoria writes, I agree, Nathan. We need new spirits in these political runs. Absolutely. Woody writes, happy risings, king and queen. Stay blessed, stay safe, wear your mask. Trucking with Dante writes, you're going to have to learn to live with it. The bills aren't going to stop, and people want to live their lives. I think learning to live with it incorporates shutdowns. I think that's part of learning to live with it. That's just me now. I'm just telling you my personal viewpoint. Blessed Beauty writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good to see you, Blessed Beauty. Donnie B writes, Davis says, good morning. Good morning to you, Davis. Hey, what's up with you, young man? If I was a superintendent of a school district, I would be like the superintendent of Deer Park and take into consideration what is happening in his district. There were rising cases in the high school, so we changed them to full remote. The same trend was not happening in elementary, so they are still going into the building. I think the smart thing to do is what is best according to the data they have. Why should Deer Park worry about what is happening in Winton Woods School District? Greg writes, good morning, Nana Choppers. Danita writes, tell Davis, Miss Danita said good morning and Surum ad Simon. Hopefully I said it correctly. Slave catchers at it again. Pigs F them. Oh, okay. You were talking to Danita. Okay, I'm sorry, Donnie. I thought you were talking to me. Unfortunately, when someone armed with a knife faces the police and does not drop the knife after a couple of commands from police, they resort to lethal force. This does not seem to happen more so. This does seem to happen more so to blacks than to others, but it happens to everyone. A white guy who killed by cops in the Phoenix, Arizona suburb merely because he moved his hand when the cop thought he shouldn't have. Was that the dude that was in the hallway? Yeah, that was tragic, man. That officer didn't have to shoot that guy. The officer walked on it. He did not have to shoot that man. It was straight about power. I watched the whole video. It was hard to watch. It was like in a hotel, I think, right? The man is on his knees, crawling toward the officer. He's no threat whatsoever. He flinches. The officer shoots him and kills him and said, I told you not to move. But we don't need those kind of people on the force. We don't need them. Craig writes, you should interview Charles Ellison or Solomon Jones in Philly. Okay. All right. Hold on. I'm going to take this down, Craig. I'm going to do just that. Let me take this down so I don't forget it. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Philadelphia bombed my grandparents' home along with 65 other homes back in 1985. They killed members of MOVE. I remember that, Sean. Damn, your grandparents' home got bombed? Donnie writes, why not tase him? Where's the de-escalation tactics? Where's the mental health team? I've seen white perps chasing the police with a knife, draw guns on them, etc., but the white perps aren't executed on the spot. That's because if you're a white person, you're going to identify with a white person. That's what that is. They identify with them. They see themselves on some level, so there's more humanity that they project into the individual. I feel like when you got white cops dealing with black people, depending on the individual, because I mean this ain't a general thing, but depending on the individual, they don't even see him as human. You're just a thing. You're just a problem. Greg Rice, good morning, choppers and the like. Kevin Rice, good morning, all. Fast Pitch Rice, I'm not sure I remember watching a video where white people are pulling up in BMWs and Porsches looking like looting just like everyone else, right? You know, and you ain't gonna see no black rich people that's down there looting. So there must be an economic element that goes into this. Now, I'm not justifying it because, I mean, wrong is wrong. But, you know, there are people who feel like there's a bigger injustice that's going on to black people. So it's like when you see the looting that's happening in these cities, everybody wants to fixate on it's a criminal act. Well, what about the grand conspiracies and criminal acts that have been committed against the black family, not just in Cincinnati, but in Philadelphia and otherwise, that are protracted campaigns to make sure you stay in second-class citizenship? So I think there's a connection between that in terms of what you're seeing. If people were happier and more satisfied that they were getting equity, that their voice was being heard, that they weren't being targeted, that their homes, their neighborhoods, their livelihoods, their efforts weren't being targeted, I think you see less people out there. If we didn't have a culture that turned sneakers into these objects that everybody's like obsessing over, you got gym shoes, sneakers, athletic wear that's worth as much as people's homes. That's why they go to Foot Lockers and stuff like that. You got these TV screens in there. Everybody makes it seem like it's a big deal to have a flat screen. It's materialism. And that's what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Cleopatra Rice, rise and shine. Nathan and the Choppers, good morning to you. Kevin Rice, had this been a white dude, he would have been tased. You think so, Kevin? I mean, again, I've seen what I think generally speaking that police are more brutal with black people. But across the board, I've seen videos of white people getting a business. It depends on the individual officer. Like I said, there was a man, I think it was in Arizona. He was crawling on his belly. This white police officer is acting like a damn Nazi, in my opinion, screaming orders and all. He scared the hell out of this dude. The dude flinches or scratches his back or something like this after the officer told him repeatedly not to move his hands. The officer killed him. Now, the officer is standing right next to other officers with their guns drawn. This dude was no threat. It was all about power. I told you not to move. You're going to do what I say now. And it was a white man. I've seen videos of white people getting slung around like rag dolls. There's many. So again, that's why I don't understand it, man. This thing about police brutality or the relationship between our community and the police is bigger than just black folks. It's bigger than black folks. It's about citizens across the board. But the media likes to make it only seem like it's just black people that's upset about it because they don't want us to unite with like-minded white folks and rise up and challenge the system. That's what I think. If you're white in America, you can get the business too. You can get it. It might be less likely, it might be less frequent, but you can get the business. Trust me. You can get the business. We've seen the videos. You can get that black experience real quick. That's my time for you, family. It's 10 a.m. Listen, I want you to have a beautiful rest of your day. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, bright and early. We'll chop it up on people, politics, and pleasure. Please like and in particular share this stream. Again, when you share the show, more people hear it, all right? If you want to connect with me directly, I'm highly accessible. Just send a direct message via Facebook. You can also do it through CDM's Facebook page as well. And also check out all the podcasts. Coming up tomorrow, you got a Midday Juice with Ask Ashley. Last night, we had valet service with Fast Pitch. On Friday, of course, we've got the Is It Just Me podcast with Donnie B at 12:30 p.m. On Sunday, the Dope Kicks Collective. And many more podcasts are in the pipeline right now. More voices. My mission is simple. Amplify black voices in greater Cincinnati and beyond. And if you want to join that mission in a very intimate way, become a patron. And at the very least, please like and in particular share today's show and all the shows that we provide here on San Diego Media. Listen, have an excellent Wednesday. An excellent Wednesday. Remember our motto, winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning and stay healthy. And we'll talk real soon. I'm out.
Cruz, former deputy with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
Thomas asking you to vote for Charmaine McGuffey for Sheriff of Hamilton County. As a former police officer, I know Charmaine is the only qualified candidate to be sheriff. She stands with our community and will lead with accountability. Her opponent used excessive force in the killing of an unarmed black man and led to highly controversial Vortex unit. He is the last person we need to lead our sheriff's office. Trust the judgment of someone who knows. Vote Charmaine McGuffey for sheriff, a vote for justice.
This is Charmaine McGuffey asking for your vote, paid for by People for McGuffey for Sheriff.
So many Democrats voting for Charlie Winburn. Democrat Malcolm Timmons.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he is the man that does what he says he's going to do, and he gets things done for our community.
Democrat Nettie Matthews.
Of course I'm voting for my brother Charlie Winburn because he cares about the black community.
Democrat Paul Booth.
I'm voting for my longtime friend Charlie Winburn. He will put people over party.
Democrat Zakiya Allen.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he has a positive track record in our community.
Democrat Charles Wiley.
I am voting for Charlie Winburn because he would be accountable to us.
Democrat Klein Carricker.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he helps to train hundreds of African Americans through his leadership masterclass.
Democrat Jafanya Wynn.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he cares about women with children, providing child care and a school for K through 8th graders.
Democrat T. Renee.
I want to see the first African American county treasurer elected after 230 years.
Vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.